Love your kitchen. Homebase sponsors Food on 4.
Delicious food is surely one of the great joys of life.
That is very nice.
But what turns good food into wonderful food? I believe it's all about care and attention to detail.
Chuffed to bits with this.
Cooking is my life. I was founding chef at London's Bibendum restaurant, and I've written several best-selling cookery books.
Oh, Lordy, that's good.
And now in this series, I'm going to show you how to cook extraordinary food at home.
An artichoke. You know, it's one of my favourite things to eat here.
You'll find it hard to find many people who care as deeply about food as Simon does.
I love discussing recipes with other cooks, and I'll be visiting some great restaurants for ideas and inspiration. I'm here to learn.
That's the first time you've ever said that to me.
Sultanas or raisins sometimes?
And I've never known anyone more able to dissect a dish and improve on it.
Ooh. Some of the recipes I'll be showing you, I've slaved over for decades to get just right.
Worth waiting for, that.
For others, I'll be picking up tips from these chefs who cook them as their speciality.
Oh, you've got parmesan on the inside as well.
Parmesan on the
Never knew
inside.
that.
With this knowledge and experience, I want to inspire you to cook delicious food and to show you how to put together exceptional menus for a variety of occasions.
Delicious.
And today, I'm cooking a summer lunch. Today, I'll be making a delightful summer lunch for 4. Summer is a special time to enjoy seasonal ingredients at their very best. And my summer-inspired menu will offer you a delicious lunch best eaten out of doors, if you can. I'm starting my menu with a first course of pork rillettes, a rustic French pâté that's really lovely spread on hot toast.
Garlicky, porky beauty of a little pot, that is.
Next, a warm salad of leek and shrimp, a really nice pairing of sweet shellfish with tasty steamed leeks.
Now, ain't that a pretty thing?
For the main course, a cool and summery assembly of poached salmon with a peppery watercress salad which complements the creamy sauce and buttery new potatoes.
You do have a lovely texture from the crunch of the cucumber, the soft salmon, the creamy sauce.
And to round things off, a real surprise, a fabulous ice cream flavoured with the freshness of basil, an unusual taste that will keep everyone guessing.
It is an extraordinary ice cream. It almost tastes of summer.
So, 4 courses made with seasonal ingredients, best eaten out of doors with friends in summer sunshine. And to kick things off, a really well-made Bloody Mary to fire up the taste buds. Forget any preconceptions you may have. My Bloody Mary is a rollicking good, ice-cold number that I absolutely adore. A vibrant way to start your summer lunch.
There are so many different versions of a Bloody Mary and what people add or people don't add. But the worst thing of all is that once the drink is made, you can't taste the vodka. So I'm going to show you my version.
Begin with a generous helping of ice.
About that much. It's nothing worse than a Bloody Mary which isn't cold enough. First of all, the vodka. And I generally go along with a measure of vodka to 2 of tomato juice.
I know that may look a lot, but there's nothing worse than a thick Bloody Mary that's like tomato soup. And only a really good juice will do.
Everything should be correct. Call me a pedant, but I want the Bloody Mary to be the best Bloody Mary. A splash of dry sherry. Some people like the sherry to be a bit sweeter, but I don't. My mother, funnily enough, she used to have a sherry and tomato juice just on its own, and that was a medium sherry and no ice whatsoever. Pretty filthy.
Add 5 drops of Worcester sauce, Tabasco, and a pinch of celery salt.
And for acidity, there's always lime juice. Give it a rub, get the juices flowing, and a gentle squeeze. Too sharp a Bloody Mary is not nice. That should do it.
And finally, a grind of black pepper.
And a gentle shake. And that is it. Not too thick, not too thin. Ah, chin chin.
A foolproof formula. And please don't go plonking in an oversized garnish.
One of my real bugbears is that great stick of celery in a glass where it doesn't really belong. It's not nice, it's not delicate, and it, for me, ruins the drink.
So instead, I've got a great way to transform the celery into quite a special crunchy nibble, using cool cream cheese and fiery jalapeno chili.
So, we're going to peel the celery. I think it was Keith Floyd who once said, why do people never peel celery anymore? You see, you even look at that. Look at all those nasty strings which get stuck in your teeth. It's not nice. I think if you're going to make something delicious to eat, then do it as well as possible.
Neatly fill the celery with cream cheese and slice into bite-sized pieces.
And now for the jalapeno. My favourite chili, without question. It's fruity. It has a juiciness which a lot of long, thin, tiny chilies don't have, but they're just all about heat. And daintily put a little half moon onto each piece of celery. You've got the cool cream cheese, you've got the crisp celery, you've got the lovely fruity jalapeno. I mean, it's marriage made in heaven. That's a pretty nice little snack to go with the perfect Bloody Mary.
So why not have a go at this delicious drink? A punchy opener to this summer lunch. After that blistering cocktail, let's talk lunch. My first course is a real classic, pork rillettes. And in order to share my enthusiasm, I'm off to a hidden gem in South London, 40 Maltby Street. An award-winning kitchen located in a wine warehouse, opened in 2011 by Rafe Hodgson and Harry Lester, both big lovers of food and wine.
In order to make good food, you've got to enjoy eating, and if you enjoy eating, then you're going to care about where you get your food from, how you cook it.
They have a short menu of carefully cooked dishes to accompany their eclectic range of wines, such as jellied egg, a favourite French hors d'oeuvre and rarely seen these days, and an apple granita, a kind of granular sorbet if you like, so refreshing on a hot day.
We wanted to do food that we like, carefully sourced, carefully prepared, ranging from slices of ham, a stew, rillettes, hearty food that everyone can understand. Hi, Simon, how are you doing?
I'm all right, how are you?
Well,
And it's these delicious rillettes I've come to talk about. My first course for this summer lunch. Rillettes is a method of curing, then potting meat or poultry. Here, a soft and creamy mass of succulent shredded pork, most often made in the winter months, but I enjoy it so much I'll make it any time.
when we make all the charcuterie,
Yeah.
and the rillettes the last stage when you've got the carcass.
Yeah. The last thing you make from what everything else you've used
Exactly.
before.
Sorting all the leftovers, all the knobbly bits of fat that we didn't want go into.
Exactly. Not wasting one iota.
Nothing.
Nothing.
The bones, fat and scraps of meat are first cured in salt. It's a great way of using up every last morsel from nose to tail. Rillettes can also be made with duck, goose and sometimes rabbit.
Lovely, delicious. I love the texture. The pork fat's melting, and you're left with these little savoury bits of pork, bits of piggy. But seasoning-wise, bay leaf, thyme, it's sort of obvious, really, isn't it?
That's fundamental.
Fundamental somehow. I had nutmeg.
I put sugar in mine
Yeah.
and zest of lemon and orange
Right.
as well.
It comes out as a simple thing. It is potted pork, but not necessarily simple to make.
Absolutely. We've got to get the seasoning right.
Get seasoning right.
You can't add it afterwards.
And as with all recipes, let's be frank. I mean, the more you make it, the better you get it, and the more you get it to how you like it.
Coming up, I show you how to make my version of this rustic French dish.
Worth waiting for, that.
And an inventive summery second course featuring one of Britain's greatest treasures, the brown shrimp.
They're sweet and they're tender. Just perfect summer food.
Today, I'm making an elegant summer lunch, seasonal and bursting with flavour. For my first course, I'm going to make some rich and unctuous pork rillettes. Although more often seen as a restaurant dish, you can actually make it at home in advance. Pop it in the fridge to ripen and mature, ready to be enjoyed over a lazy summer lunch. The recipe contains a few steps. There's curing overnight, slow cooking, shredding, and finally potting. But it's not difficult to follow, and it's an excellent way of making this French preserve at home.
Salt and fat are what will keep the rillettes nice once made.
Traditionally, rillettes are made from all the bits and bobs left over from butchering a whole pig. But not many of us have a pig carcass lying around.
We are going to use belly pork, a really nice piece of belly pork, best you can find. The back fat you can get from your butcher. You want it without rind, just pure fat.
The first thing we need to do is remove the bones and rind.
But you can get your butcher to remove the bones and take the rind off. But he needs to give you everything back once he's done it.
The bones and rinds will be cooked along with the pork meat, so intensifying the flavour.
It's always lovely to have things like this in the fridge to take out. Oh, I know, we'll have that today. We're having a nice lunch in the garden, some hot toast. Oh, and by the way, little pot of homemade rillettes. Very, very welcome gift. It certainly would be if somebody gave them to me. So, to the pork fat.
You need just under half the weight of back fat to pork belly. This is essential to keep the rillettes nice and moist.
But if your pork belly is fatty, put less fat into the mix. I now need to add salt to this, or a salt mixture. Now, I do this in a little blender, so I get everything to a fine powder, which is so much easier because all the flavours mingle into the pork really well.
Add a tablespoon of sea salt, a tablespoon of sugar, 2 bay leaves, 6 cloves, 2 teaspoons of black peppercorns, and half a nutmeg.
And as it's going to be whizzed up in here, I actually don't need to grate it because that will do the grating, as it were, for me. So that goes in. And finally, some juniper berries, which go always very well with pork. About a level tablespoon. And that's it. Now it's just whizzy-whizzy. You do want to get it quite fine.
Sprinkle over the pork and give it a good mix.
Almost massage it. It is quite nice doing this, and truly hands are best.
The pork will need to be cured in the fridge for at least 8 hours, but I'm going to leave it overnight. That's the first stage done. The next morning, we're ready to start stage 2, the long, slow cook. The salt mixture has done its work, infusing the meat with the aromatic herb flavours and curing the pork. Now add the final ingredients. You'll need 200 ml of dry white wine.
The wine is obviously to add flavour, but you need moisture.
Next, add 6 cloves of garlic.
They don't need a lot doing to them, just crushing and chopping up a bit because they melt away in the pot with the pork.
And finally, 4 to 5 sprigs of sage.
Great friend of pork, and I don't put it in earlier because I want to actually have little flecks of sage showing through the rillettes once they're finished. Hands in for the last time. And this is going to go into an oven, but before it goes in, I'm just going to give it a little boost on the stove. You know, a coal pot into a very low oven. It's good to get the pot warm and the ingredients starting to at least warm through a bit, and then in it'll go.
After 5 minutes, transfer to the oven, let it quietly stew in its own juice for 3 hours at 140 degrees.
It is smelling rich, this pork. Fatty golden nuggets.
That's the cooking stage completed. The skin and bones have done their job, so remove them with a slotted spoon.
You do have to be quite meticulous here. You don't want any bits of bones left in there. It doesn't matter if you break up the pork, it's going to be broken up anyway.
Drain off the fat and put to one side, as you'll need it later. Now transfer the pork back to the pot and it's on to the shredding stage. Traditionally, this is done with 2 forks, but if you have an electric mixer, it's just as effective on a low setting.
You need to get it into shreds, not a paste. And this is also a time, if you've missed a bone, you'll find it. A clunk you'll get.
Now, take the fat that was drained from the pork mixture and decant it, leaving just the pork juices and residue.
And they're going to go back into the pork. All flavour there. Another little whiz, just to blend that juice in.
Add some of the fat back into the pork, a little at a time, until it forms a creamy texture.
I want it to be sort of floppy, but glistening with fat. So, we're ready to pot.
Make sure that the jars are clean and sterilised, and then almost fill to the brim, pushing the pork down with the back of a spoon.
Just patting these down so that when the fat goes on, we don't get little bits of pork sticking up through the fat.
Finally, spoon over at least ½ centimetre of reserved pork fat to seal the rillettes. All this may seem a lot of work, but how nice to have these tasty pots of goodness to look forward to.
Almost the most satisfying part, sealing them up.
Keep in the fridge for at least a week to mature the flavour, but they will last for a few months. The longer you can leave the rillettes, the better. Be patient, as the flavour really develops with time. After a week, they're ready to eat. Scrape off the fat to reveal the meat beneath.
Garlicky, porky, beauty of a little pot that is.
Generously spread on toasted baguette and serve with a few sharp and crunchy cornichons, a lovely contrast.
Here goes. Worth waiting for, that. It's a great contrast of soft pork and fat and crunchy bread and crisp vinegary cornichon. I mean, it doesn't get any better, really.
After that meaty starter, it's something light and delicate which is needed. My second course is based on a French bistro staple, leek's vinaigrette. It takes a handful of simple ingredients, allowing them to shine, one of which is the little brown shrimp.
They're sweet and they're tender. Really useful, nice addition of shellfish to a dish.
The brown shrimp has 2 seasons, one at the start of summer, one at the end. This lovely little fellow is so often overlooked, but I'm going to make it the star of the dish, and in contrast to the time-consuming first course, this is a doddle.
I think it's ideal here for this summer lunch. I've got 4 really nice trimmed leeks here. I want them to be all the same size, and I'm going to cut them into little lengths. So what we have in the end is little tiny towers of leeks. It's a pretty look and will look lovely when the dish is finished. And these are a little salt, sprinkle over the top. Now, ain't that a pretty thing?
I use a dish to steam the leeks, so collecting any juices that seep out, and this also helps them keep neat and tidy.
I want them to be soft. I don't want any crunch, and I prefer to do it in a steamer because if you boil them or simmer them in water in a pan, then they can fall apart.
They'll need to be steamed for about 10 minutes.
Nice and tender. Nice and tender, lovely.
Stand the leeks proud on a plate.
They're like little turrets.
Add a drop of juice from the bowl, just to keep them moist, but not waterlogged. Next, the shrimp.
And I think it's a really nice combination.
With good ingredients, keep the seasoning simple. Just a squeeze of lemon juice and some fragrant chopped dill.
I think it's a perfect partner for shrimps. Mingle them around. I think fingers are best here. I'm just going to sprinkle them over the leeks. Very pretty.
The next step is to add a touch more acidity, so just a trickle of fine red wine vinegar.
It's the sweetness which is nice, and it's winey. So just trickles. Some very, very good olive oil. Don't drown it, just to lubricate the dish. Last thing, black pepper. And that is it. Job done. Oh, it's so good, that. I love the softness of the leek and the little sort of fudgy quality to the shrimp. It's a great contrast. The sweet vinegar, little spritz of lemon, and that aniseedy note of dill, and all those other flavours. It's sort of made its own vinaigrette. It really is, it's a harmonious plateful. Just perfect summer food.
If you want to try any recipes from the series, go to channel4.com/Simon Hopkinson and add them to your scrapbook. Coming up, I get inspiration from an old colleague, the talented chef Ian Bates, who cooks me a flawless French feast.
Ian, that is a seriously beautiful plate of food. Right, fork, please.
Then summer on a plate with my pretty and delicate main course.
This is such a lovely trio of things to eat together on a plate.
I'm halfway through cooking a special summer lunch. We tingled our taste buds with a zingy Bloody Mary and then some tasty pork rillettes and a dear little shrimp salad. Now it's time for the main course. There's nothing nicer on a hot summer's day than some perfectly poached fish. And one of my cooking chums turns out a particularly fine example of this. I'm off to the old spot in Somerset. In the shadow of the magnificent 13th century cathedral in Wells, this renowned restaurant is run by my dear friend Ian Bates.
Pass me the flat parsley out of the fridge, please, Adam. And the chillies, please.
I first met Ian when he worked for me in Bibendum in the early 90s. I was immediately impressed by his knowledge of French cuisine, together with obsessive attention to detail and quality.
Before Simon, I don't think I had any sort of really firm views about food particularly. And from him, I just got how to make just delicious food, you know, really, doesn't have to be complicated, but just to extract the maximum flavour out of an ingredient, I think. And I think that's what my food here is pretty much based on.
What I love about Ian's cooking is his ability to create wonderful dishes with simple ingredients and big flavour, such as this confit of duck with lentils, watercress and blood oranges. Or this gorgeous ham and parsley terrine, served with a classic celeriac remoulade.
We don't complicate things, it's quite simple. Just caring, making sure that you take the little steps that make the difference between something being pretty okay or being really good, you know.
We all love to cook with seasonal ingredients, and Ian is no exception. I want to chat to him about summer food, and I've asked him to make me his favourite sunshine dish. Where's Chef? Oh, good morning.
Oh, hi, Simon.
How are you?
Yeah, pretty good.
Excellent, excellent. What
And,
you got in there?
Well, we're making aioli, actually, for Grand Aioli, which is
one of my
on the lunch menu.
favourite things.
For me, Le Grand Aioli is the Provençal lunch. A superb assembly of salted cod, vegetables of the region, olives, eggs, and occasionally even a handful of snails. All this served with aioli, that thick and glossy garlic mayonnaise.
All olive oil?
No. Sometimes you can. It depends on the olive oil. If it's
Absolutely.
a very strong one, it can be overpowering and very bitter. So usually
Yeah, exactly.
I mix it 50% with groundnut oil, so it mellows the flavour. You still taste the garlic and the oil, but it doesn't sort of bite your head off. Anyway, I've got potatoes, I've got artichokes, fennel, I've got some carrots, some fine beans, and a nice big piece of cod.
Beautiful,
which is
centre cut.
Yeah, centre cut piece. I mean, it doesn't have to be
You
like
salt
that.
this yourself?
I make this myself. You just salt it for a couple of days and then
Yeah.
refresh it. Extracts moisture and
Yeah.
it gives it that. It just firms it up.
Yeah.
It's- You know,
Yeah.
it just gives it a different texture
It
and
does.
flavour. So basically, I'm just going to just arrange things nicely on the plate, really.
Yeah. And the colours are sunshine, aren't they?
It could only come from South
yeah,
France.
yeah.
You know, it
Yeah,
shouts at you.
Sunshine.
Hot sunshine. And then the egg. You could leave it whole if you want, but I think it's
no,
always
no,
nice to
would-
cut it
let's
in
see
half.
the golden yolk.
Yeah, it's always nice to cut it in half.
Oh, Ian,
And then
what a beautiful
just
egg.
a little touch of pepper and
Yeah.
salt on the egg. You can just put this on. You know, for me, it's one of the great dishes of the world. That it's bouillabaisse, that cassoulet.
Ian, that is a seriously beautiful plate of food. Right,
Yeah.
fork, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. That is such a good aioli.
Just bring it together, doesn't it?
Yes,
It's just
totally. Completely.
harmony. Really enjoy
It's
it.
a joy, Ian. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Le Grand Aioli, the simplest of seasonal ingredients, a true classic. Summery Provence on a plate. Ian and I agree that poached fish is lovely as a summer main course, and I've come up with something new and really rather special. I think you'll enjoy it. The dish in question is cold poached salmon with cucumber, a cool cream and chive sauce, warm buttery new potatoes, and a peppery watercress salad.
This salmon dish, it's based on a classic French preparation called a chaud froid, the French hot, cold.
Essentially, this translates as meat or fish that is poached, cooled, and then coated with a gelid sauce made from the cooking liquid.
I wanted to do salmon for a summer lunch because I love cold salmon. And salmon and cucumber are perfect combination. The smell of cucumber, it's summer. So, we're going to make a little pot of cucumbery goodness with some nice flavourings and poach the salmon in that.
Begin by peeling the cucumber, but keep the peelings as you'll need them for the stock.
None of this cucumber is wasted. I'm taking the seeds out of the peeled cucumber. They're going to go into the stock as well.
The cucumber will form the base of the dish, and I don't want the watery seeds to ruin the texture. Chill in the fridge for later. Next, dice a second cucumber, skin, seeds and all, as this one is simply going in to flavour the stock. I'm also adding a thumb-sized piece of ginger.
I'm using it really as a seasoning. A little bit of warmth at the back.
A couple of shallots.
This is going to be delicate. I don't want any carrots, celery, big onion flavours.
A handful of parsley and dill.
Dill is fish, let's face it.
A bay leaf. A few peppercorns. And a pinch of salt.
So, lillet. Now, I've chosen this because it has a sweet background. It's a vermouth, a beautiful vermouth. Apparently, James Bond used to have this in his martini.
Add 150 ml of the vermouth, 400 grams of water, then put the pan on the heat.
Pop on the lid and bring it up to a simmer. Now, I've come up with what I think is a bit of a wizard wheeze, and it's using some offcuts of smoked salmon. Very cheap, £1.50 from the supermarket.
These cheap offcuts are a clever way to introduce an extra fishiness to the sauce. And it will also accentuate the salmon flavour. add to the stock once it's simmered for 15 minutes.
I don't want to put the smoked salmon in right from the beginning because it's going to get sort of overcooked fishy taste.
After a further 10 minutes, strain the stock, extracting every last bit of flavour.
I don't want to waste a drop. It's amazing how much will come out of here if you're patient. So here's our stock. Back onto the stove.
Bring it back up to a simmer, ready to poach the salmon.
So skin on, bones removed, and pop it in skin side up. And now switch it off and put the lid back on. And just let it cook in the residual heat of the stock. And it gives you a much nicer texture.
The salmon will take 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the thickness of the fish. You want it just cooked through in the centre, when all the flesh has turned beautifully opaque.
So while it's still warm from the stock, we're going to take the skin off, which is very, very easy. It smells delicious. Underneath the skin is always this little bit of brown parts, which are perfectly nice, but a little unsightly. It's the fattiest part of the fish, just under the skin. And so I'm going to take that off as well. Just scrape. Of course, the cats will love these little bits.
So that's the poaching stage completed. Leave to cool for a few minutes, cover and chill in the fridge. Now for the sauce. Good cooking is about wasting nothing, so the stock we use to poach the salmon will form the base of the sauce.
To begin the sauce, we bring the stock back up to the boil. What happens is that the impurities in the broth will come up to the surface as scum, and I like to get rid of that because I'm a sort of clean cook. I think in a translation of Escoffier, it was known as despumation. And I find one of the easiest ways to do this is actually just to lay some kitchen paper over the surface once or twice and just lift it off. And it's a good trick.
Allow the stock to reduce by about a quarter, then sieve to remove any last remains of salmon. We want a really smooth sauce here.
Now, to make this sauce work, we need gelatin.
And this is the way to set the sauce. Soak 4 leaves in a cup of water for a few minutes.
So the gelatin is now transformed into this jelly-like creature, and that will dissolve and melt very quickly. But the mixture must be hot.
Leave to cool for 10 minutes before adding 200 grams of double cream. That's the first stage of the sauce done.
And it is now going to go into the fridge to set. This will take a couple of hours. What it will be when it's set is like a slightly bouncy blancmange, if you remember what blancmanges are. I tell you, it is worth waiting for.
Now it's time for the final stage of the salmon chaud-froid, to assemble and finish the dish.
Now, the first thing I need to do is to slice the cucumber.
Season with salt and pepper and arrange at the bottom of a shallow serving dish.
And now the salmon. Flake this fish over the cucumber. I mean, taste is everything, but it's not pink and green. Pretty special combination. Third layer, sauce.
And add plenty of finely chopped chives.
Chives were created to be very finely cut. Why do we find on dishes 2 of these crossed over like that as a garnish? There is no point in putting food on a plate that can't be eaten with pleasure.
The sauce has now set and become more like a jelly, and far too solid to spread over the fish, so it needs a second whisk until it's smooth and creamy.
So as you can see, it is now a thickish coating sort of sauce.
And to finish, add a large pinch of cayenne pepper and a couple of teaspoons of lemon juice.
Always add a little, you can always add more. Can't take it out. This is so nice. I can smell the chives, just that slightest lovely sweet fishy edge, and spoon it over the fish. Delish. So, into the fridge to settle and set. Really not for that long, just to cool it, let's say 10 minutes.
Now, to accompany the fish. For me, a favourite partner for cold meat or fish will always be hot, buttery new potatoes. A joyous summery combination.
Now, these little chaps are pink fir apples. They have a lovely creamy flesh, and I love them. They're a real favourite.
Immerse the potatoes in cold water and bring them up to the boil. After 10 minutes, drain them. Then it's time for what I think is the most essential part of the process, removing the skins. Do it while they're still warm. It makes it much easier.
Now, would you want these little leathery jackets on your potatoes when you could have them like that? My answer is no, never. It's worth all the effort, such as it is.
Coat these little numbers in some melted butter.
Just move them around and until they're nice and glistening, but really low heat. See, already they're looking wonderfully glossy.
Season well.
It's always nice to get a little crunch on the outside. Great potatoes. So, to the watercress. Its pepperiness is the sort of the dish. You really want to get off the tough stalks. Doesn't take long. Terribly good for you, watercress, of course, full of iron. And that is now going to be dressed simply, purely with lemon juice, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and olive oil. And mix. Gently does it, but hands are best. This is such a lovely trio of things to eat together on a plate. You do have a lovely texture from the crunch of the cucumber, the soft salmon, the creamy sauce. A few potatoes.
Together with the warm buttered potatoes and the sprightly watercress salad. This is a wonderful combination.
So you have got lots of things going on, but all harmoniously. I can't think of anything nicer for a summer's lunch.
A truly elegant main course. And I can't tell you how delicious it tastes. So far, we've cooked our way through this summer lunch with all sorts of goodies, but we need a finale. Next, I'll show you how to make a deliciously surprising ice cream.
Oh, that is very nice.
I'm cooking a summer lunch, and which I think is best eaten out of doors. After 4 perfectly planned courses, I want something equally special to finish. To truly encapsulate the spirit of summer, I'm seeking inspiration from Chef Ian Bates. He makes one of the most enchanting ice creams I've ever tasted. A rich, creamy affair scented with a fragrant summer herb. Lemon verbena.
It's just a delicious ice cream, which is slightly unusual, but in an amazing way. It's not quirky for a quirky's sake, it's just utterly delicious. And I just use pretty much a standard vanilla ice cream base, which we then infuse with the verbena, which I've got here.
Lemon verbena is a deeply aromatic citrusy herb, which Ian has chopped and added to hot milk, leaving it to infuse overnight so that it really has a chance to impart its flavour.
Because it's quite a fugitive flavour, I think. It's not really in your face like vanilla or chocolate.
No.
It's quite subtle. So the point of infusing it is to maximise the flavour of the plant. I'll just pour the sugar on.
Ian's ice cream is made with a custard base, which gives a rich, creamy and velvety texture.
As long as you've got a good base recipe, you can adapt it. That's what makes them so amazing, because you can make this, or you can make a vanilla, you can add praline, you can add so many things. So we put a little bit of lime confit in.
Which is sort of lime zest cooked in sugar?
Lime zest, which you blanch a couple of times, then you cook it down in a sugar syrup. Yeah. And then also just a squeeze, about half a lime.
And it doesn't sort of affect the dairy?
No, because you're not putting too much.
Little.
It's like using lemon juice in food. It just lifts the dish, you know, it just gives a little bit of a zing. And now all we're going to do is let that cool, and then we can churn it.
Oh, the texture's fantastic. I can tell that right away. Just get the hint of that candied lime, and the lime juice, which really lifts the flavour. Extraordinarily good.
The use of herbs when making ice cream is so very clever, and it inspired me to do one of my own. I'm going to use another herb that also shouts summer. Basil's aromatic sweetness lends itself superbly to ice cream, and making your own at home means you can enjoy using surprising flavours such as this.
This ice cream is unusual, it's delicious, and it is perfect to end a gorgeous summer lunch.
Tear the leaves from one large pot of basil.
You want it to be strong. You almost probably can't overdo it.
Basil is at its best in summer when it's especially bushy and fragrant.
I think we have got enough there.
Set the leaves to one side, and now the custard base for the ice cream. Separate 4 eggs and add the yolks to a mixing bowl. Add 150 grams of caster sugar.
And now we're going to whisk these together until they're really pale and thick. So, 400 mils of milk. Do use full-fat whole milk. This is, after all, a full-on ice cream. Now we're going to heat this on the stove.
Once the milk has warmed through, add half to the egg mixture.
That should do it. And now just gently mix this together and pour it all back into the pan. So I'm now going to quickly chop the basil. It's going to release those lovely oils. Back on the heat. This is the trickiest part of the ice cream. It is a custard. It can split if you're not careful.
Some recipes tell you that ice cream is ready when it coats the back of a wooden spoon.
I always think that's a bit woolly, that description, because, I mean, it sort of coats it now, but it's not quite accurate enough for me.
So, if you want to be safe, I'd suggest using a thermometer.
85 degrees is when ice cream is sterilised. And it is, happily, also the moment that I think the thickness is correct.
Not to worry if it goes a degree or 2 over, but don't let it get too hot or it'll curdle.
We do not want scrambled egg, basil, ruined ice cream. It is gorgeous.
Cool for a few minutes, then add 300 grams of double cream.
It looks very nice. A paint manufacturer might call it a hint of basil.
Cover and leave to infuse in the fridge for at least 2 hours. Once chilled, extract all the flavour from the basil using the back of a ladle.
There you are. Basil's done its job. So, over to the ice cream machine. And in we go. Every last drop. I think investing in a good quality electric ice cream maker, I don't think you will ever regret it. I don't know anybody who doesn't like ice cream.
Allowed to churn for 30 to 35 minutes, depending on the type of machine.
This is pretty well ready. And one really good test is just run your finger like that, and it should make a definite impression, no falling back of the mixture. So, ready to go. Let's lift the little bucket of deliciousness out.
It's just the right texture now, so quickly spoon into containers ready for the freezer.
You want to do this relatively quickly because you don't want too much melting. I like to just put nice little waves over the surface, make it look like an ice cream parlour, but you don't have to do that. Lids on, and into the freezer forthwith.
About an hour in the freezer will allow the ice cream to firm up before serving.
Nice scoop. Oh, that is very nice.
The smoothness of a homemade ice cream is something really special, and the basil has added the most charming, delicate fragrance.
It is an extraordinary ice cream. Basil in an ice cream. It almost tastes of summer, if that's not an odd thing to say. It's fragrant, it's fresh, and with the raspberries, perfection. What a finale to a summer lunch.
Five summery courses using terrific seasonal ingredients. A zingy Bloody Mary with cool and crunchy celery nibbles. Unctuous pork rillettes piled onto warm crunchy toast. A simple warm salad of sweet brown shrimps and tender leeks. A wonderful main course of layers of cucumber and pink poached salmon under a voluptuous chive cream. And finally, the dessert, a homemade basil ice cream best eaten with raspberries. Delight your guests or simply enjoy yourself in the garden at home. You can add any of these recipes to your own online scrapbook at channel4.com/Simon Hopkinson.
The unstoppable Olivia Pope's back, and if you missed Series 1 or the first in the brand new series of Scandal, 4OD is the place to head. Then catch new episodes right here on More 4 Thursdays at 9. While tonight, a revealing look at the Quran is on at 10 past midnight. And stay right there, an obsessive-compulsive cleaner meets a hoarder. Oh boy, that's next.